Alright, so welcome back to some more Supercross 2. Today we're going to be checking out a few different versions of 2019 Detroit. Now, usually when I record these, I record them on Sunday, the day after the weekend before race. So the last race we had was Arlington, and that's how I do it usually. But this time I waited until Monday, and I'm kind of glad I did because there was quite a few more choices of tracks to choose from as far as the next replica goes. So I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 different tracks. So we have 5 to show you here, and it's all on PlayStation 4 this time. Maybe eventually we'll go to PC, but this time it's all on PlayStation 4. And this first track, it was really good. I'm actually pretty happy with it. It was probably the easiest one. But as far as having a realistic feel to it, they did pretty good. They did pretty darn good. And I don't know, even this rhythm section, the triple in and triple, now I do believe he was missing at least one jump in there, but overall, I mean, it's their own version, and we never know. I mean, the track map, even though it says it's going to be like this, doesn't mean that when the race comes, they're not going to change it. I mean, very rarely do they ever have the track exactly like the track map says it's going to be. So overall it was really good, but again, it was probably the easiest one out of the bunch. So just middle of the road. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely encourage you to go check it out as far as just getting the replica feel and have it basically look like the track map says it's going to. Alright, so here we have Jesse's track. If you've been around the channel, you've seen him in the comments. He's suggested some of his tracks before, and he makes really good stuff. We've done a few of his replicas, I believe, with the first game. And this time around, he did a really good job. Now, that rhythm section we just went through was quite interesting because if you look at the track map, they don't really look like a regular jump. But they're not really those offset ones that he was using either. But as far as just kind of trying to make it more realistic and get it closer to the track map, I think Jesse did a really good job here. He was thinking outside of the box, so you got to give him, you know, we'll do the little golf clap for you. That was definitely thinking outside the box. Now, the toughest part for me is the finish line, because he has these two little doubles, which is what the map says, but then his finish line's like really hard to get over. Yeah, I'm sure you could switch up your gear ratio and all that, but I don't know, it just felt kind of weird to get over. This section was fun. This is what I was talking about, where he kind of went back and forth with the offset jumps. This baby tire tap was kind of fun. Messed it up here, but this corner here with this triple, I don't know, maybe you can triple out of that. I was never able to. I kind of did a wheel tap over it. Sometimes I did a double single or rolled it and did a double out. I don't really know. I never really got that section the way I wanted to. And then here, maybe you could triple up onto that table. It doesn't feel like it, but maybe you could. He has some really big triples here. You have to be in third, I believe, to get this triple. And even then, if you don't get it right, you're going to case a little bit and then back around to the finish line, which it just felt a little awkward because the way the doubles were going up to it, it just made it really hard to get. Alright, so here we have our third version of 2019 Detroit, and this track is pretty insane. It's not, I don't know, I feel like it's probably the least realistic out of the bunch, but I am not sure, but I feel like this was probably the most fun track for me. It was tough. Dude, that quad after that tire tap is insane to get. You have to hit the wheel tap just right, or you can't get that quad out. It's insane. It's so much faster. Most of the time I was just like casing into the fourth one, but really tough track, really fun track. It was kind of, it felt overscaled a little bit. And you guys, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know I kind of think I enjoy some of the overscaling on tracks. It's just fun. It's a video game. It's supposed to be fun. And yeah, Weatherman did a really good job with building a fun track. I mean, it felt kind of like Detroit, but I mean, I personally don't believe they're going to throw down a triple quad in this rhythm section coming up. I just don't think they're going to do it. They might, but in the game at least, it's really fun. It's a really big line. It's just fun to go after, and this section right here was fantastic. This wheel tap into the quad, because it's tough. It's doable, but it's really, really tough. At least for me, for a guy of my caliber, my ability in this game, it was tough. This kind of tire tap was fun. I don't know if it'll be like that. Again, I feel like it was really overscaled. This section was really fun too. That double in was kind of awkward, but it set you up for the rest of the rhythm section. So overall, this was probably it was the most fun for me to play on. Definitely, yeah. The more I think about it, it was the most fun for me to play on, but it was probably not the most accurate, I guess, to the replica. So good job. It was a really fun track, and I encourage you to go check it out if you're on PlayStation 4. Okay, so here we have the 4th version of 2019 Detroit. This track, I'm trying to remember exactly what was on this track. Okay, yeah, this rhythm section was a bit on the weird side because, I mean, it was similar to what the track map said, because he had, I don't know, you have to check out the track map to see what I'm talking about in that specific rhythm section, but it just felt a little bit off. This was supposed to be a triple, but it's a double, but it could very well be a double in real life. Here, this wasn't so bad. It was not 100% sure. He might have been missing a jump there, but maybe not. You could triple up onto the table in his version. Now, maybe they will be able to in real life. I kind of doubt it. Here, he kind of built it to where it was really easy to overjump the double, but you could recover because there was a pretty big gap in between the Supercross triple. And the Supercross triple was a little bit on the small side, and then he chose to just throw down a fat quad there before the finish line. So I don't know, maybe, I feel like out of the tracks we've seen today, this was probably on the weaker side. I'm not saying it's a bad track, it just feels like it's not quite as good as some of the other ones. That double is actually really big. That was probably one of the toughest things on this track, was hitting that double. But, I mean, it's all about kind of your interpretation, how you are going to see the track, because you see the layout, but again, a lot of times before the race, they do change some things, so it could very well be like this. You know, we don't really know, but overall, it was a decent track, but I just don't feel like it was quite as good as some of the other ones we've seen. So here is track number 5 for Detroit 2019 replica, and it is by a guy we've actually checked out at least one other track from him in the first game, maybe more, and it's a pretty solid track. I don't know if it's the best track, but it's pretty solid, and it was fun. And I mean, I made my fair share of mistakes here. I tried getting at least one good solid lap in, and then, you know, if we messed up after that, whatever. But it was tough. It was really tough. That stretched out triple in the middle there was kind of, I messed that up a bunch. It worked fine. It was just, you know, you had to be paying attention if you wanted to hit it. I'm trying to remember what this was all about. A little bit farther spread apart for that double, and then he had a really big triple, and I believe he had a finish line very similar to Jesse's, where I was like having a heck of a time trying to get over it. So he had the two small doubles there, and then the big finish line. Now I could get over his a bit better than Jesse's, but it was still really tough. So overall, it was a really fun track. I think this rhythm section here, you know, yeah, I mean, they could go triple. More believable than the triple quad, but feels maybe a tad overscaled, but overall it was a really fun track, and I think it fits in pretty good with most of the tracks today. So really good job. Again, I've been saying it, I encourage you, if you're on PS4, to try these out, especially if you're a a big fan of checking out the replica tracks. Definitely try these guys' tracks out. They're pretty darn good. But with that said, let's move into the race. So I had someone talking to me on Twitter saying that it would be nice if maybe I could talk about the race a little bit more. And I mean, I don't have a ton of time because I think a lot of you guys really like seeing the tracks, and maybe I'm guessing most of you have probably watched the race and seen it, but I believe the person that was talking to me was from Italy, and so they maybe didn't, it wasn't the right time of day for them, or they didn't get to watch it. I don't know. So last weekend was Arlington, and it was the best race of the year for sure in the 450 class. Even the 250s were pretty good up until the point Sexton and Smith, both of them went down. Both of them were keeping Faulkner fairly honest, and it was kind of, excuse me, it was kind of getting to the point of maybe one of them is going to catch him, but then they both made a mistake, and Faulkner went perfect again. Won his heat, won his main. They said that hasn't been done since Jake Weimer did it. When he won his championship, he won 3 rounds in a row or something like that. I believe he was riding for Pro Circuit Kawasaki, but I'm not sure. The 450s was where all the action was, though. That race was insane. Right away, Tomac was out front, but Roxon wanted to run him down and made a move right away. He wasn't going to mess around, and then Tomac was behind him. I was thinking, oh man, here we go. We get to see two titans battle here, but then Tomac made a mistake. Fell back, went down, and got back up in like 9th, but then fell back to 12th, I think. I don't know if something was wrong with him or the bike. They never mentioned it, so I don't really know what happened, but he did finish the race. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. And then Muscan came in, and I was thinking, man, maybe, hey, maybe this is Marvin's moment. And then Webb came. And Webb came from a little ways back. I mean, I don't know if he was in 7th. I want to say he was in 7th or 8th off the start. And it took him a while, but he started charging. And then he passed Muscan. And I didn't know. I just had this feeling. I had this feeling in my gut that, I don't think he's satisfied. And then he started throwing down this nasty quad. Okay, so the section right before the whoops, he was throwing down this really wicked quad into the corner. Now, he didn't do it too much because I think it was a bit risky, but it was hard to do if there was anybody else around him. And he ran down Ken, and it came down to the final lap, and I was thinking, man, is he going to be able to quad? And he didn't. But then they basically get side by side in the whoop section, and Ken, I mean, you're going from the whoops into the corner, so Ken kind of went high because he was carrying a bunch of speed, and then Webb kind of pushed up onto him a little bit. Not too bad. I mean, some people were unhappy with it, but I think it's because they don't like Cooper Webb. I thought it was fine. Ken thought it was fine. Ken said he would have done the same thing, and it was just a horsepower race to the finish line. And Webb, I believe, won by like 0.02 seconds. It was insane. It was so exciting. It was a great race. It was, love him or hate him, that was an unreal ride by Webb. Unreal. And I said it. Hey, quote me. I said it in my last video. On a bike, on a track, Webb looks unbeatable. I mean, he really does. He really, really does. I'm sure he'll get beat. The chances of him winning every round the rest of the season is virtually 0, but he looks good. And if you're upset about that pass, okay, there's going to be some contact. And that wasn't just a pass. That was a pass not only for a win, but for the points lead, okay? So there was a decent amount on the line, so I don't really see a problem with it. I mean, I want Roxon to get a win as much as the next guy, but and I still believe he will. But man, I mean, you can't lose a race any closer than that. So I feel bad for Ken, but that was an unreal ride by Webb. So let me know what you guys thought of the race in the comments. Who you think is going to win this weekend? I'm going with, you know what? I'm going with Smith. And man, who do we want to go for? Who are we picking? Gonna say, You know what? I'm going to go with Ken. I believe Cooper is still the obvious pick. I know some guys said that Tomac is. I believe Cooper is. I mean, he looks unbeatable. So I'm picking Smith and Roxon. Let me know who you guys pick in the comments below. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. And until the next video, take it easy.